y'all, back again. It is the Country Rap Report. Yours truly, VicXL.
And your boy, Chief.
Chief, does my lips look white? That's right.
You look good.
Okay. You know, because I'm not hungry. You know, sometimes when I get hungry. Okay. That's right. I'm repping Rich Regal.
Okay.
Repping Rich Regal. I wish I could rep Trailer Made. Somebody never sent me the Hard Targets shirt.
Hey, I sent the other shirt. I sent the one that Spank.
You did send it to him?
Yeah, I sent that one to Spank.
Oh, he never.
But I didn't. You didn't request one, did you?
I didn't. I just wanted to put you on blast.
You gonna get one. You gonna get one.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the Country Rap Report. Salute to all our first and last time listeners. If you've never checked out the Country Rap Report, what we do here is we give you our opinion, our reviews, our reactions, our critiques, whatever the hell you want to call it, on some of the best and worst videos in the genre of country rap. Now, I like to say this. Some of the artists that we cover, they are not your traditional country rap artists, but they are artists that I'm going to say that I feel maybe need the attention of the genre, of the fans of the genre. So that's why I will pull an artist that's not a traditional country rap artist, because I know how loyal and dedicated the fans of the genre of country rap are and how y'all can truly make or break a career. And there are a lot of artists that are chasing, or as my grandmama say, barking up the wrong tree. So sometimes I feel like we as a vehicle could give them a push. They ain't got to follow, but we will give them a push. We can lead the horse to water. We can even stick his head in the water, but he might not drink. But you got a home with the Country Rap Report. Also, we give you opinions and topics. Every now and then, me and Chief, we're not going to review. We're not going to talk to people. We're going to talk to each other about something that might be pertinent or going on in this genre. So look forward to those good Vic and Chief conversations. And last but not least, we give you what we're going to give you on this episode: exclusive artist interviews with some of the movers and shakers of this very genre. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I need you guys to get ready. I need you guys to get very, very ready, because you are about to be educated on the genre. You're about to be educated on music. You're about to be educated on the grind. You're about to be educated, period, point blank. Because this is a gentleman who, number one, I'm very, very humbled and delighted to be talking to. We're waiting for him to connect. I'm very honored to have him come on this show. He doesn't know, so I'm going to tell him that since I ever heard of the genre of country rap, I have been following his career, because I think he might have been one of the first artists I ever heard of the music when I heard genre, even before Coke Ford, even before any of the people. I heard of him. I don't know what's it's saying connecting his audio, and I don't know what's going on with it. Let's get him up here. But I'm very happy to be talking to my guy Moccasin Creek. And I gotta ask about the name, because I've always said, if I ever get an opportunity to talk to Moccasin Creek, I want to know how that name came about. I've been following him on social media, and I'm noticing somewhat of a transformation. I don't know if he's lost a large amount of weight, but I know he's definitely lost some weight. I want to definitely talk about the man. I want to get into so many things when it comes to this guy. This is like legendary. I almost feel like we're about to talk to Curtis Blow or KRS-One or something like that. I don't know why he's not pulling up, though. I don't know why he's not pulling up.
Let me real quick, while we waiting, let me tell you a little bit about my dog Moccasin. So we met probably like 2 years ago or something like that. And, I always felt like he was a cool person, and then he ended up moving down to Florida, to Brooksville, close to where we, right in our county, you know what I'm saying? But it's a little distance of a drive a little bit, but it's in our county. And that's when I really started hanging out with him more. And we went, I would go to his house. He would always invite me, invite the rest of the guys over there. We wouldn't even have to spend a dime. He would buy food, cook the food, like just a real good dude. You know what I'm saying? Like he likes to look out for folks. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing I really respect about him. He's a real good dude. There you go.
Well, I had my camera. I had my camera sideways, like I always do. Hold on, let me reverse this thing.
Bam!
There we go. There we
go.
Man, technology, dog, and I've already been on that Buffalo trace, so you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that hoodie's fire.
Good to finally meet you, Vic.
Hold on, let me say this first and foremost, because I was just saying this to Chief. Sir, it is I gotta give it up to you, because I have been hearing your name and playing your music. I used to be at a radio station in Atlanta it was 89.3 FM Atlanta. And I had the opportunity to build my own playlist. Mm-hmm. And so I would scour the internet for records that people never heard. Ran across your record and always rock with Moccasin Creek Records. And then you actually, at some point in time, done a track with someone I formerly managed. And gotta say happy birthday to him, because his birthday is today. John Boy on the track.
John Boy, I was gonna say, yeah, I think that's where I was first introduced to you, and what you were doing was through John Boy, and that's a good day. Hey, man, he's another one that's kind of like, and I'm sure we'll get into all of it. Like, he's a pioneer in the game that just really never got his flowers. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. A lot of people don't know.
Good dude.
John Boy on the track is the creator of
Wobble baby. Yeah. I actually shouted that out in a couple songs because he's a good dude, man. Good dude. Well, you ugly. You ugly on camera too. I can't help it, dog.
What you mean, Jeez. Bro? You see the smile? Hey, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, I'm glad to be on here, man. For real.
Thank you for coming on, bro. I appreciate you.
We got to get into it, man. First thing, because I've told you, I'm humbled for you to be here. I feel like I'm definitely truly speaking with a legend. When it comes to originators of this genre, and you know what, you're definitely Mount Rushmore, because I wouldn't know
about that. I've been around, but I don't know about the Mount Rushmore. But I've been around,
bro. I wouldn't know of country rap if I never heard of Moccasin Creek.
I appreciate that.
I heard of you before I heard of Colt Ford. I heard of you before I even heard the words country rap. Matter of fact, that's when they were saying Hick Hop.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny, man, watching this, and I know we'll get into a lot, watching the whole transformation and everything. I guess it shows my age and where it started. Like, it's still Hick Hop to me. And I've had a time adjusting to country rap, as that being what the media calls the genre now. Because, you know, it's just strange. And that's why, and I know you're gonna bring it up. That's why I was in my feelings. I was pissed off one day, and I was like, you know what, man? Everybody's talking about country rap, but nobody that's ever been a country rapper and been in it's ever reported on it. So I would get a country rapper to do it. It wasn't a shot. It was kind of a ricochet, more or less, from my poor use of words. But at the same time, like, it's Hick Hop is what we created, you know. And that term was given to us as well.
Right.
And we just rode with it because it was so new when it started. Country rap, it evolved. But man, you can go all the way back to man, you can go back way back. As far as Johnny Cash was country rapping. You know, Charlie Daniels was country rapping on Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Oh yeah.
And then Bubba blew it up. See, I always country rap was rappers from the country. And, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. The Hick Hop thing we started was more of this is all how these hicks and people move, and this is what we rap about. So I've had a real, not issue, because I love to see where it's grown and what it's gotten to. My issue stands with all the, and I'm gonna just say it, I'll put it out there if it offends anybody, it should. All the failed street white rappers that said, oh, I've got an avenue now. I'm gonna country rap because, yes, you're going to be more familiar with that because that's how you grew up. That's like me jumping into, Granted, I'm a hip hop historian. KRS-One, back to Grandmaster Flash, Boogie Down Bronx, the whole shebang.
Yeah,
I've
we had
always
those
liked hip hop,
discussions.
or I'd have never gotten into this. But who's going to take me serious if I'm out talking about slinging dope and this, that, and the other one? I never did it. I did dope, but I wasn't slinging it. So it's like, I'm a rap about what I know about. And then I watched it's funny just to see a cat 8 years ago, all gold, chained out, repping the block, rapping all that. Now he's talking about cane poles and mud ruts. My bitch, stop. I mean,
I do have a question.
Cool, but it's cool because it's still same thing, man. It's like watching what I just talked about, the hip hop we grew up on transition into this, the trap, the mumble, the stuff, everything evolves. I get it. It's like me and you've had 1,000 discussions about the NBA. I'm an old school fan.
Yeah.
I don't knock their talent today. It's just not the game I'm accustomed to. I don't knock this next generation's talent or their hustle. It's just not what I'm accustomed to.
All right, so let me say this to Chief. To me and Chief talked about it off air, and this has been a criticism of mine or a lot of people who watch the show. They say, Vic, everybody you put on that show isn't country rap. And I'm gonna be very, very honest. I absolutely positively know it. A lot of times, if I generally say it in the intro, I know every artist that you see on here won't be country rap.
Right.
Okay, so let me say this, and there are gonna be people who look like me, who right now are gonna be like, okay, so me being
it's always gonna be those people.
Huh?
But it's no different than anybody.
Let me show you my. So me, who I'm also a historian of hip hop.
Correct.
I've watched Caucasian rappers not get their fair shake. I've seen people who act like MC Search didn't make contributions. I've seen people who act like Pete Nice didn't make contributions. I've seen people who don't even know who the young black teenagers are. They actually think they're young black teenagers. So I said, you know what? We're in an era now that hip hop has progressed so much that there is a fan base over here that are a large majority calling themselves country rap.
Right.
So I'm going to take some of these rappers who are not getting the respect from some who look like me in hip hop, and these people might not even know they exist. So
it makes perfect. It makes sense. I mean, it's all got to evolve. I get that. It's prime example, and he'll have no problem with me saying it. Like Ryan Fleming, Hard Target's one of my best friends, and especially in the music business. Mm-hmm. He's as country rap as I am skinny, but he's always going to be accepted by it because the fan base has grown more.
Yes.
And I'm not saying this to play a color thing. It's made hip hop more acceptable to the white race as a whole. They get it now. Because when we grew up 80s and 90s, for lack of a better word, most of your Southern white people, that wasn't their type of music, period. They weren't open to it. And that's, I tell people all the time, when I came home from high school football practice, I had 2 12s in the back, but before I hit the driveway, Pop came out and I would bump Skinner because I didn't want the neighbors to get pissed. And that's just how it was.
Yeah.
But now we're at the time too where we're seeing more black country artists. We're seeing more white guys in the hip. It's sports. It's music. It's the race shit's got to go. Period.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, we've got to watch. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. We've got to watch how we categorize things instead of categorizing it as okay, they're in this bubble. It doesn't matter. Does the fan base accept it? You know what I mean? It's like it's Demon. Demon's one. I love Demon. I respect Demon. He's a hustler. He's a hell of a. But Demon was a b-boy breakdancer 12 years ago and rapping with and he was the first step. But he's never hit. Yeah, he's never hidden a thing. My issue is with the people that try to hide it. Like when it comes up, like, oh, you was thug rapping too. Well, I was just that's what you did. My first album, Double Wide, when my first partner, the first Double Wide album we did, there were 3 legitimate country rap songs on it. The rest of the other 8 or 9 were us trying to rap because that's what we liked.
Right.
We liked hip hop. We grew up on it. But at some point, we had to understand, like, first off, nobody's going to take you serious because the people that look like you don't listen to this music. Fast forward 12, 15 years, and it's different. And I tell this to people all the time. They ask, well, how'd you get into hip hop? Well, Vic, especially being in radio, we grew up in a time where on Saturday morning, if you listen to Casey Kasem's top 10 countdown, number one could be a hip hop song, number two could be an R&B song, number three could be straight rock, number four could be metal. You were introduced to everything.
Yeah.
So I grew up in this melting pot of all of that. So I never cared what anybody thought about what I did as far as music. I care about the ones that come on and just kind of make a mockery of what we busted our ass to build. You know, when I got into it, like you said, I mean, I had heard about Colt like the night that I started. Somebody told me about it, played a demo for me in a truck. I was like, oh, I want to do that. I'd never even been into a booth until I was 30 years old. Never even been around music. I just love music.
Hold on. I got to stop you. I got to pause you. Your first time in a booth, you were 30?
I was in St. Augustine, Florida at Arnold's Steakhouse on karaoke night doing a Beastie Boys song, Fight for Your Right, drunk as hell. A fat girl was standing in front of the monitor. I couldn't read the words. I started freestyling some shit. It was talking about some mud and woods. Guy comes up to me and says, hey, man, I like that. You ever heard of Colt Ford? I said, no. Colt was just getting started. Took me out to his truck. He had a 3-song burnt CD. Listened to him. Called my boy Dave Malash in Gainesville, I grew up with. I said, you still got the music studio? He said, yes. I said, I'm coming tomorrow. I need some studio time. He said, oh, you bringing somebody over? Known him all my life. So now I want to record some stuff. He's like, when did you start doing music? I said, I did. I'm going to start country rapping. He said, you go, huh? Nobody had ever heard of this. And went over to him and the next day and link up with Bottleneck. And we started doing, party like some country, but we were doing covers, remixes. And that's just organically how it started. And then, Smo was already kind of teetering because kicking in Tennessee had just become his big thing, and so he had that sound. He was getting into it. And, at Michael Knight, I mean, we all laugh, people can say, well, that dude's been around since the inception. And I don't give a damn what anybody says. Anybody that's ever been involved or listened to country raps, heard Saddle Up Shorty and probably line danced to it in the early 2000s. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? There were about 4 or 5. Clay and Brian were still the loud ass crackers. It's like everybody, there was nothing good. Derek, D Thrash, Georgia Boys, we were all literally just like clueless, green. And there was 5 or 6 of us, and the Bandits were doing their thing out west. Bubba had already been huge, but again, Bubba, man, he set the stage for a lot of us and gave us kind of like, hey, yeah, we not a pass because he was so accepted by the hip hop community already, and he took he made his own hurdles through that, but it opened doors up. But yeah, man, it was so new. I mean, I'll be 46 in September, so I was just turned 30. Cut a few demos. We started doing the Mudbog thing, and then next thing you know, there's 10 or 12 people, and then starts getting a little bigger, and then it's progression. And then, the church came in and made it huge. I mean, big flowers to him. Watching the progression has been super cool. But again, I was stuck in the 5, 6, 7 years that it was so confusing. Like, what the hell is this? That Rolling Stone called it Hick Hop. I was like, it is what it is. Let's rock with that. Because nobody knew what to call it.
My first, I gotta ask this because you haven't said, where are you from?
Palatka, Florida. I'm just outside of Jacksonville, St. Augustine area. North, you go south till you smell it, west till you step in it. Right there. That's right in the little cow town, Georgia Pacific paper mill. Yeah, man. Grew up there and went to University of Cincinnati out of high school. Was a quarterback, played football in college, and then transferred, played baseball in college, then went and played more football in college, played in the Arena Football League, did that whole deal. Didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. And I was selling flooring at the time. I had about 40 different sales jobs, couldn't figure it out. In a drunken karaoke night, I said, you know what, man? You got one life. Let's try it. Moved up to Tennessee with Smoke. Like, I didn't plan on that. Went up to cut some songs. Me and Bottleneck were rocking the double wide thing. Me and Smo and all of us, we cut the Hick Life song that was huge. People started calling out of the woodworks. We got to get y'all to play. Got to get, this, that, and other. And we were going to start touring, and we were all green. Nobody knew anything about anything. And there's been a bunch of, I hate you, I love you. Everybody's cool now. I mean, it's been a decade, but hey, chill out. My German Shepherd's crazy. And I ended up, I'm about to let him out the room. Hold on. Hey, chill out. Go.
Bro, this is 30 years old. This is dope.
So I ended up, I went up to Smo's to cut some music. And me and Bottleneck had our first fall. Me and Bottleneck like brothers. We've had like 1,000 falling outs, but we love each other, But he didn't want to tour, wasn't feeling it, whatever. I ended up sleeping in Smo's studio. It's like a little shed on his property for a year. And then, long story short, we all just started doing our own thing. And 12 years later, it's where it's at.
I have a question, man.
Go ahead.
Look,
go ahead, Chief.
I want to dive a little deeper into, just for some historical context about the genre that rappers that watch this show may not know yet. So we've talked about it before. Mudbogs. That became a big deal, and I understand that you had something to play in that.
Well, I mean, the thing, one thing is like, I'm one of those, I'm pretty humbled by the whole thing. Like I said, the only thing that bothers me is the new stuff that's just kind of thrown at us. But I don't care. I'm super excited to see what it's grown into. And I feel very humbled and lucky that I was a part of something that grew so big. I've had several reasons over the last 5 or 6 years why I didn't go further. Those are all personal bad decisions we can get into if you want to. But as far as the Mudbog thing, I don't care if you're a country rapper, a country singer, a rock singer, Southern rocker. I don't give a damn what you are. If you're playing a Mudbog, you need to thank myself and Jackie Bottleneck Strickland, because the Mudbog culture has been around for 50 years. There was never entertainment at them. And the Hogwaller Mudbog in Palaca, where I grew up, was always a big deal. Well, when me and Jack started getting into the music, we started going out in the Mudbogs and start pushing our CDs. Next thing you know, you start hearing them in side-by-sides and on four-wheelers and this, that, and the other. And we started going to all the Florida Mudbogs, and, most people you hear about in the hip-hop world, they slung CDs out of the trunk. We was slinging CDs out of the trunk bed at a Mudbog until you started hearing it. So we started approaching all the Mudbogs like, look, man, we'll come play for free, just have an after party. We'll probably bring some more people out in the park that don't actually ride or have the toys, this, that, and other. Mm-hmm. And after about a year of that and pushing that, man, a lot of these Mudbogs start, it's 25, 35, 45 hours ahead to get into one of these things. Mm. So they start thinking, well, man, if a band comes out here, and at the time we were all doing it for, $200 or, whatever, free and a meal, whatever.
Yeah.
If that band brings another 200 people in, man, that's another $4,000 at our gate. They bring in 50 people, that's another $1,000 at our gate. So it became this thing. And Smokes talked about it on a bunch of publications and Big T. He said the same thing. He said, he was doing his deal, saw us on some YouTube. That's how he reached out to us. Saw us either on MySpace. That's how long it goes back. MySpace. He's like, what is this Mudbog stuff? Shannon hit me up from Average Joe's. He emailed me. He's like, yo, what is this Mudbog stuff? I want to get Colt Ford into it. I'm like, yeah, we're on to something. And then D-Thrash and them Georgia boys blew up with the Riding High and Bottleneck and I were. So the Mudbog culture has always been here. But musical entertainment at Mudbogs, it wasn't here. And now that's one of the things some people just go to these events for, is whatever. I mean, you don't just see scrubs like us out there now. You're seeing like A-list celebs and CMT, like big ass, some of these are paying, their budget for entertainment's wild. So that's the only thing that I've ever said, like, hey man, if you play the Mudbog and you think it's because of your hard work, nah, player. You need to realize that was one of the only dirt roads that has a little gravel on top already. That bitch was paved. You know what I'm saying? But everything else you earn, that's cool.
Bars.
But yeah, it's been cool to see it too, because man, that became our bread and butter. And I think in like 2015, I think I played like 30 of them alone just in that year. And we did the original Trucks Gone Wild theme song and started doing all their events. And we've done Canada and all over, everywhere, these giant mud parks. And it's just cool to see that culture get to where it's at, But I don't take any credit for the mudball culture, but the entertainment being there.
The music, adding the music to it. Yeah.
So, and that's what I plan on doing a lot of this year. You know, this will be my final ride, and I ain't toured in 3 years.
Hold on, stop. What do you mean your final ride? You sound like you might retire.
Bro, I'm old. I just told you how old I am.
It doesn't matter. That is the one cool part about the genre. Genre, as long as you spitting, the genre is going to respect it.
Let me say this. It'll be definitely 1,000% the last time I go after 35 to 45 cities in one run. Let's just say that. I'm at a point where I'm really changed. That's another reason. Honestly, man, and everybody knows this. My ex-wife, we're super tight. She still books me and all this stuff. We were kind of a 1-2 punch for a long time. She booked the majority of the mudballs in the South. She booked all, and it was because she was with us and we worked together and built that clientele, whatnot. But at the same time, I was going through I've been real open about it, man. I'm bipolar and I have manic depression. I've had substance abuse issues and all that stuff. And every time we would get to a point where, we were doing numbers, I would self-sabotage myself because I had always lived in the limelight, Vic, because I was a very highly touted quarterback coming out of high school. Played major ball and did this, that, and other. So I'd always been in the limelight. I'd already, it's hard to explain, but I always felt like I was already trying to impress other people and trying to live up to other people's expectations. So when I got that break, get into music, about 4 or 5 years in, the cycle came back. I'm like, you know what? I've already lived. A lot of people chase that, and that's cool, and it's for them. But I got to a point where when it was getting huge and it was getting big, and we were doing, 2,500, 3,500 seaters and selling out and doing these big events, I was just like, man, I don't want all that comes with it. So I would step away. And I'd get back on something else. And I would, all right, people are wanting me back. So I would do it for them. I was never doing it for me.
Okay.
So COVID came. It was on our last cruise. This is wild. COVID wasn't even talked about. We go out on our last Moccasin Creek cruise. We come back to port. The whole damn world changed. We're like, whoa, what happened? What hit? It was wild. So we came back to COVID.
Did y'all get delayed?
We sat at the port for about 6 hours too long, and they had talked about, hey man, we might have to keep you on the boat for a while. I'm like, hey, give me a cast net and a cane pole. We'll work some shit out. But how long's a while? But it was really different. So, but that. I was also about 400 pounds at the time, and I was struggling with all. And to me, I was like, all right, this is a chance for me to regroup and figure things out. So I spent almost 2 years, getting back in shape, doing things. Came down to Brooksville. Then I had the nerve issues, like health stuff, whatever. Long story short, I knew the thing that I was missing that was killing me was, okay, I never really did one for me. And I want to do this one for me to give back and thank everybody that gave me my livelihood the last 12 years. So it's like, I always used to go out and just do shows because I was expected to. And now I want to. And I want to give them the best show. And that's one thing I've always prided myself on is our live shows legit. Like, I'm by far the least talented one on stage every time we go. I make sure I got a great band and great harmonies and shit behind me, so I don't have to work so hard. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I'm taking this one serious, and it is for me. And then that way I can say, okay, I did it. If more stuff comes after that, cool. But I know that I was going to fight with that for a good while. So I wanted to put this together, and we're going to start end of July, go to the end of November, and then I'll just completely reassess.
All right, I have that. This is a question I always say if I ever talk to you. The name Moccasin Creek, how'd that come about?
From a local bar in Palaca where I grew up. It was one of those 70s, 80s roadhouse type bars, just like you see on the movies. Anybody in the Southern rock genre from the 70s and 80s played there. Molly Hatchet and Confederate Railroad and all. Everybody had ever come through there. And then it got pretty rough. It got pretty rough in the early 90s, and it may or may not have been burnt down, but it caught on fire. Let's put it that way. But it was just you know what's crazy too, Vic? It's funny you say that, man. I've been in Idaho, I've been in upstate Maine, I've been playing, and truck drivers especially see a shirt or something I got on, they're like, yo, I used to go to this old shithole bar in this little town in Florida called Moccasin Creek. Yeah, that's my hometown. Like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. But yeah, the bar had nostalgia, man. It was a legit old school, like, you know, the movie scene joints you see, you know, people just in there getting it. But the building stood until I was out of high school. So it was always there, and it was just something the guy that was helping us start out Moccasin Creek, getting us our business together and managing a little bit and whatnot. We came up with 4 or 5 ideas, and as soon as that one was brought, I was like, oh yeah, Moccasin Creek, that's it. And it's wild too, because I didn't realize how many actual Moccasin Creeks, like actual bodies of water, they're all over the country. I get people sending pictures all the time. There's Moccasin Creek in Virginia. Here's Moccasin Creek in Texas. I'm like, bitch, Moccasin Creek is a dirty bar in Palaca, Florida. Period.
So how did you and Double Y hook up?
Man, you know, Jackie was actually crazy. Buddy I grew up with, we were selling floors together, known him all my life. I don't want to say a lot of people, I ain't putting him out because he doesn't deserve it. Started with me, everything was cool. He got some charges, was never honest about those charges. Hey man, are you gonna be around so we can keep pushing this thing? Finally find out that he's gonna go do a good bid, which he did. And I felt like, man, I just put 2.5, 3 years of my life into this and branding this and doing this. Now I'm left with nothing. Bottleneck was doing his own thing. I'm like, bro, you're a fat redneck like us, and you can spit. Come on, we link up. We go to the studio. We just start cutting shit. Just cutting record after record. And he was, man, and he's like, dude, I'm Bottleneck. I just joined. You're Brahma Bull. Man, let's just do it together. So we ran with Double Y for a hot minute, and it was never really stable. it was just like I said, man. It's, you know, me and Smo have had this conversation. Man, several people, like, we were all so green in music and knowing the business that there was so much bickering over. You know, back in the day, it was just, hey man, you give me a feature? Yeah. Well, what you do on my album? It was just, there wasn't, you know, there was no splits. There was no point. Nobody knew anything about it. But then 2-3 years in, somebody's got, oh man, I see that song's got 600,000-700,000 views. Well, where's my cut? Like, then it became an issue with shit, you know. And then fast forward 10 years, all of us are mature enough. We're all in our mid-40s, and everybody's like, oh, we get it. I mean, it is what it is. You know, it's no big deal. And but yeah, man, it's been a wild adventure, to say the least, especially when it comes to the whole creation of all of it. There was just no stability with anything until more people started doing it and more people started catching on. Because the hardest thing on the planet was, man, you know, it was seen as a gimmick. You know, it was such a gimmick that we didn't know whether it was going to catch on or not either. And then when we finally started getting some steam, hell, I had just bought my first home on my own. I bought a condo on the Intercoastal in St. Augustine, Florida. I had a great job selling floors, this, that, and other. I wanted this so much. I went to my attorney and I said, hey man, what's it going to cost to file bankruptcy? He's like, you got good credit. Well, I said, I'm about to not have good credit. He's like, why? I said, my little savings and that condo build, I ain't paying for it anymore. I'm chasing something I believe in. I foreclosed on my condo. I filed bankruptcy. I got rid of everything I did, owned, went up to Smo's, lived for a year, started Moccasin Creek, played for Peanuts. My wife at the time was a nurse. She was working 60 hours a week, helping pay the bills. We was riding 5 deep in a single cab Z71, pulling a rented U-Haul on the weekends, and these motherfuckers get mad, talking about they paid their dues. I bitch, you ain't paid nothing. I did this for 2-3 years, just as well as the Moonshine Bandits, just as well as Colt, just as well as all these. I'm gonna stop with that, but we put in some work, you know.
I want to ask a question, and this goes on a lot in hip hop. With the emergence of the new generation of country rap,
right?
Do you feel like the new generation should pay more homage to a lot of people that paved the way?
Man, it's crazy because I used to think the same with hip hop, but I kind of equivalent everything to sports because if you can't tell, I'm a sports junkie. Um, I think I think what the big deal is, to be honest with you, Vic, is that it's not a matter of homage. It's something that they got into, and people don't realize this is going on the better half of on the second half of almost 2 decades now. Some of these cats were 5, 6 years old. They don't know who the hell we are. So it's the same as you think Ja Morant watched Larry Bird.
Nah.
you think Logic was a KRS-One fan? No,
Nah.
it's like it used to bother me, but now I get it. It's just such a swing in time now. It's cool, but that's what I'm trying. Like I watch everything I put out, and I'm like, who? That kid's like 20, like he's probably 20 years old. I'm like, what? And I can't be hypocritical because I don't know half of them. Why would I expect them to know me? So no, I don't. It'd be cool. I get it, but I know that's a huge argument in hip hop, especially when people, are always put on the spot. Who's your top 5? I mean, you ask the young, the mumble rap generation, and half of them don't even, none of who was it? What I can't remember which one it was. Never heard of Big. Like, huh?
Oh yeah, I saw that clip.
Yeah, it's like
I forgot who it was.
And I used to get fired up, but I get it. I'm not saying it's right, but I get it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel since we're talking about generations? So Melly Mel has been trending lately. You seen that?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that whole fiasco? Him saying Eminem he wouldn't even be considered top 5, but he's white.
Well, again, man, I think it's all era driven, just like sports. Obviously, Wayne, trying to think, Wayne, even early Drake, those guys were the guys that were breaking just as I was in my early 20s. We're all the same age. Mm-hmm. So we were more familiar. So we would listen to them more. And the more you go back and look, his wordplay's silly. There's a lot of crazy, analogies, a lot of crazy punchlines. I think his ability to his cadence is unmatchable. I think he's top 5 just because I grew up more in it. But then if you go back and you dissect, people like Sugar Hill Gang, probably most influential on hip hop ever. The hibbity. And it's like there was nothing lyrical about it, but they weren't trying, and that shows the progression of the thing, of the genre. Fast forward 5 years later, as it progressed, Houdini comes on. Fast forward another 7 years later. People go back. If you go back right now, strip all the music and what we would consider corny as the sound. Big Daddy Kane was a lyricist. He doesn't ever get mentioned. He doesn't ever get spoken about.
Never.
Ever. And his lyrics are 35 years old and have some of the craziest wordplay ever. So, I mean, again, I don't know if Melly Mel's looking for view. We live in we need views now world.
Yeah.
And clickbait is huge. I get it. But at the same time, eras, man. And where he grew up, I can't fault anybody for an opinion, but I could argue the opinion. You know what I mean? So it's like me and Knucklehead over here with the LeBron MJ shit. Like I could go all day, but I get it.
He think LeBron is better than MJ?
Dude, stop, Vic. Stop. We'll have to put this bitch in 5 parts when we get into it. Let's just say,
Chief.
That's what
I think LeBron is better than MJ.
That's what I'm getting at.
When you look at the overall package, I think so. There's a lot of stuff that Jordan didn't have to worry about. But I mean, there's a different topic here. You know what I'm saying? This is not for the genre. Okay.
That's what I say. That's one argument that I can always say. If you have the other opinion, you're wrong. Most of the time, I'm like, I see it. But you're wrong on that one. But nah, man, it's crazy. I've heard everybody's top 5 as far as hip hop goes, and generally you want to have the same 2 or 3. And don't get me wrong, I mean, everybody, if you want to be real with it, yeah, Pac's always mentioned. Pac wasn't a crazy bar spitter. He just told stories and felt it, and he was just real about it. I say real. He went to art school. He was probably the thug. You could, all this stuff comes out, and people try to demean demean people, especially the dead that can't fight for themselves. He made this job. He made it as big as it is. He and Big. There's no secret. The East West thing, blah blah blah. They were both so great, but they were so polar opposite.
Yeah.
Biggie's definitely his wordplay, and
he's a better rapper. He's a better rapper for sure.
But as far as somebody that writes songs, somebody that's going to make things big, so you can sit there and argue that all day. I mean, you can go back and forth. So I see it both ways on the Melly Mel thing. I don't necessarily agree, but
I guess for me, it just bothers me that Melly Mel has to make it a race issue.
Yeah. I stopped with that whole thing. See, I grew up in the southern of the South in the time where, look, man, it's like it was just a given. You got out of practice, it's sport. That's what I think. I think that's what we're missing as a whole. If I had to rule the world, all kids between the age of 10 and 15 at some point would have to spend 1 year on an organized team just to be in a locker room. You don't have to be good at the sport. You don't have to like it. But you know what you're going to get out of that locker room? You're going to learn every culture, every background where everybody comes from. And I tell people this all the time. I was a quarterback. I had 10 other people in that huddle from 10 different backgrounds, 10 different stories, 10 things you probably didn't know about anything. But for the next 3 to 7 seconds during that play, guess what? We was all brothers. We had to run the same exact thing, be on the same page, and we always were. We may not hang out outside of football, may not hang out outside of the locker room. It's the same with life. And so the race shit, man, it's like, stop. In the late 90s, it's always been there. Don't get me wrong, but it didn't seem like it was as huge as it is. Okay, I mean, the social media, the cameras, everything, and you got all these the size, man. I'm just over it, dude. I'm over it.
Yeah. I guess for me,
man. I agree.
For me, who married into a whole complete different culture, grew up in a whole complete different culture, and being from the South, I just look at like, man, it's 2020.